Morning.
All
Dead silence.
Yeah, yeah.
Pregnant
Everybody's
pause.
doing good.
Good morning and goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah. We have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a heck of a show this morning. Wow.
Well, I mean, so if you haven't noticed, Claude is here with me at Otter Creek Studios.
The Two Stooges.
Yeah, the two Stooges. We've got Bill and we got Steve. Boxcar Jerry, I think, was going rail fanning this morning with some friends. So he's got bigger and better things to do than mess around with us. I hope he has a great day. And, Claude has come up here because he's going to help me be an extra set of hands and, some brain power behind my problem of coming around my loop here. And hopefully we'll get some stuff done easier and faster than me by myself. And I'm glad he's here.
Yeah. We'll see what
More clamps.
Yeah, and he did bring some
I
clamps.
did bring another box of clamps.
Yeah.
So
you never have enough clamps.
Never happened
You're
there.
right.
yeah, you can't have enough clamps. And I brought a whole box full, but it probably still won't be enough.
Yeah, look, it looks like he brought it in a wine box. When
That's
he first pulled up, I was like, all right. And then, okay, clamps are good too.
yeah, that's the wife wants it, so
Yeah.
But yeah, I brought that up, and we'll see what we can get figured out here. And I'll tell you what, like it always is, it's much more impressive in person, seeing something that you've seen on video than it is seeing it on video. Trust me, it was the same way with Steve's engine, same way with walking in this room and seeing the space he's got this in. And I can see now what he's been talking about in his vision of the mountains and stuff. It's that easy to see. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, he's going to have a really nice layout out here in the middle of nowhere. He is in the middle, and I think Steve's 4.5 acres is bigger than this whole town.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think town is a generous term to call where I live. I mean, I think our post office has maybe 80 boxes and I'm not even sure that all of them are being used. So
That'd be what, 5 or 6 people in each house, right?
maybe. Well, I mean,
Got their own
you have to consider the people that live,
outside,
rurally, that have a PO box here that don't actually live in town. So there's
You have a stoplight?
oh no,
No, they just
No
have grain.
stoplight.
no, a non-used grain elevator.
Yeah. That's typical Oklahoma, though. When you're driving through rural Oklahoma, you always know when you're coming up on the next town because you see the grain elevator before anything.
Yeah.
And that's where the towns were, is where the grain elevator was, or at least a collection of buildings like they have here.
Where the railroad was, I'm on the MKT line. You could literally take a rock and hit where the track is right out here. Yeah.
Where it used to come through. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Steve, you want to give us a rundown of who's in chat?
There's nobody in chat this morning. We're all by ourselves. Now we got Dave, DES Multimedia. We got Steve Anderson, Al Marr. We got Bernard. We had John Dilly. He had to go. He had to go to work. So, and I think that's it. We're kind of light this morning. We got 20 in chat.
I see the plumber 33.
Steven's here.
Oh, there we go. We got John.
Your name?
Gooka River Valley John. We got Plumber.
Dwight Kerr.
And his name is Steven, right?
Yeah.
With a PH.
That's the plumber 33? Is
Yes.
that who that is? Okay.
Dwight Curley. Good morning, Dwight.
Roy's here.
Oh, we got Container Man. Better watch out. Oh, Jeff, the railroad enthusiast. Good morning. Oh, we got Eric at Watch Trains Now. Awesome. Hey, I like that SD40 you picked up. That was pretty cool. Got a good deal on a Kato SD40 in N scale.
Oh, there you go.
Nice. Bernard, do you live in an extremely small town as well?
He lives in
Elko,
Nevada.
Elko,
Just outside
Nevada.
Elko, I think.
I'm not
There's
familiar.
nothing in Elko. I've been there before.
There's a casino there.
Ugh.
I think
Why would anybody live in Nevada?
they used to fly junkets to Elko from like Dallas and stuff. Instead of going to Vegas or Tahoe, they'd go to Elko because it was cheaper. Hotels and stuff were cheaper. There's nothing much there, I don't think. I've never been there myself, but that's where Bernard lives.
Hey, Sparky's here too. Hey, Sparky.
Hey,
Hey, morning, Sparky. Look at all this room I got out here.
Stuff. There's mosquitoes in here, so
You know, you must have brought them with
I
you
did.
because I have not had a mosquito in here once until you showed up.
my fault.
I don't know how Steve keeps these garage door open without getting swarmed. Do you just
Well,
not
they do that
have
at night.
mosquitoes up there?
It's too cool right now at night. Boy, once the sun comes down, then that's when they come out.
Oh, maybe that's why I didn't notice them. Because
Yeah.
I didn't notice any while we were there.
No, it's the creek dried up too, so their water source is a little bit harder to find. But yeah, they'll find as soon as the sun hits the horizon, man, they come out. They eat me. They don't eat my wife. They don't like her. But yeah, I got lots of room out here. Look at this.
How are the fires out there now?
They're knocking them down. There's still a bunch, but they're getting them under control. I mean, those lightning storms a couple of weeks ago just hammered this area. We just got hammered. Lots of little fires.
We got lucky there wasn't anyone when we went out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a pretty big one just east of here over by Moreland that even after we got that rain, it started up again 4 days later.
We did have a firefighter get killed the day before yesterday though up here. He was up on they were following some trees and they had one come down and rolled down the hill and rolled right over the top of him.
Oh,
This was just north of Grants Pass. This just happened a couple of days ago. So that always sucks.
Yeah.
well, so
That's
what's
enough of a downer.
I saw you brought a bunch of stuff back from Iowa.
That I did. I had a fun trip in a sense of being able to go to the hobby shop. The hobby shop there was like 4 miles from the hospital where my mom was. So I was able to take some junkets. And since I was forced to drive because my air flight got canceled twice while I was at the airport,
Wow.
I decided to drive the 1,000 miles to there and back. And I was able to load up all kinds of goodies. So yeah, I had a good excursion from a hobby shop point of view, bringing stuff back.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. Yeah, N scale, HO scale, a bunch of O scale, some ON30 stuff. Yeah, it was fun. For that part of the trip it was. And Mom's doing better. She is in a skilled nursing home, still assessing what she's able to do and not to do. At 94, she was doing good up until a year ago, and then she's really gone downhill. So we've got to kind of see what the next stop is going to be for her. She might end up staying at the facility that she's at, and then I'd have to go back and move her out of where the facility she was in. And one day at a time with that.
Yeah.
Dementia on top of it doesn't help.
I just went through that a couple of years ago with my mom.
Yeah, my mom's been like that for a good period of her life with the dementia and stuff.
Yeah.
I understand.
And my mom had fallen and broken her hip, but like the doctor said, there was only 25% of the people that break their hip at her age. She was 90. Will live a year.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them won't get out. And she had a lot of other things going on that I won't go into, but yeah, that's what happened. And she just got worse and finally passed in the nursing home. But
yeah, my mom, she was active. She was still mowing a 1/3 acre yard at the age of 89 and climbing ladders to clean out gutters and everything. Always busy. So she's, an old war horse is really what she is. And I say that lovingly, but broke her hip 8 months ago. So that healed. She fell and dislocated the hip. had the surgery, and they're able to kind of get her up and moving around. It's more the dementia piece and being able to take care of herself properly now that is going to be the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it doesn't get any better. So, it's,
It's only slightly for a short time, and unfortunately, but that's life, I guess.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So
a heck of a chair you're sitting in, Dennis.
Yeah,
he's got the king chair here.
This was a departing gift from my previous job, because they shuttered that place, and everything that could be made use of and go to a different facility, they did. And I threw this in the back of my pickup just because it's been mine for the last 18 years, give or take. And I took it.
And I'm sitting on a milk crate, as you can tell.
I offered, I sat over there for a little bit. He said, "No, here, take your chair." Okay.
Well, because I had to make fun of it here,
Which, once the model railroad gets finished, this chair won't be in here. I will get this out of here eventually because it's not tucked out of the way very easily. I've got a different spot in the house I'll put it in.
Yeah, well, you're the CEO of your railroad. You might as well have the benefits.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, Bill, have you got anything new to show us that you can?
I can kind of show you just a little bit of kind of what I had done. Some of it was in that last video, but I can give you a little bit better view of the cabin and some of the stuff that's over this time. So I got those little figures. I got the figures from Blue Stop Hobbies. Again, they had bought an O-scale collection, so there's tons of stuff, and they haven't even scratched the surface on the things that they're bringing in, which just makes me wish I had a basement, because I honestly think at this point I would go to O-scale, but I haven't. So just a few things I've been working on, like right over here, I've got the KD couplers now on my other two O-scale engines. So I've been doing that this past week, and the O-scale isn't going to sit there. I'm going to move that later. I've got more O-scale equipment coming today from FedEx that I got from trains.com. So, but over here, and it's going to be kind of hard to see, but I came back in and I added pine needles under the pine trees in different areas. And then I added leaf litter in other areas. And that video I'm still working on, but I don't know how well you can see it, but it kind of gives it that more brown appearance in the near ground as it fades off into the darker appearance farther under the forest.
Now, what did you use for the pine needles?
So it's a combination of the Woodland Scenics grass and then rope, where I would cut everything into really about 1 millimeter, maybe 2 millimeter lengths, so that I could then get a blend of colors and then again just spread it around. This is an eastern forest, so it has got a lot of undergrowth, and that is prototypical of the area around here and the areas that I drove through going to and from Iowa. But the needles, it adds a nice appearance in and around the forest floor underneath the pine trees. So we can come up over here, and I don't know how well you can see, but that the moonshine still got work to do around it. I'm going to build a little lean-to and kind of put some crates and some jugs and some other things in there. But added, again, the leaf litter. The leaf litter is actual real leaves that I've been grinding up, and then I run them through a sieve so that I get uniform size on them.
Yep, I do the same thing.
Yep, and it adds a nice little appearance under there where the wind has blown them from, the deciduous trees in different areas.
Now, do you have a specific type of leaf that you use that you find works well for that?
Nope, just whatever is blown off my trees, I just grab them, dry them out really well, and then crush them by hand, and then run them through the sieve.
Because I've heard, kind of depending on what type of leaf is, some of them are more fibrous than others, and some blend better than others. I use cottonwood leaves for mine.
Yeah, and mine, I just grab what I had blown around the yard. So I've got like oak trees and I've got maple trees. I've got other things outside. So that's what I've been using.
So
And the stuff that's really fibrous, it doesn't make it through the sieve. And then I'm going to use that as like bark when I get over to the logging camp scene, when I finally start building over there.
you don't grind it up in your wife's coffee grinder like I do?
No. I've thought about doing that, but I just haven't gotten around to it. Then, the cabin scene, I was having fun with this. I've still got more details to add. Like I am going to add a clothesline, and let me come over on this side here so you can get a better view. I am going to add like a clothesline somewhere in here and then move the bed back a little bit. I still got to do the outhouse. The outhouse is going to go back in over in this area, and I'm going to have the guy with, sitting on the pot with the door open. This was a fun little scene, just kind of add some interest. And if, when I take this thing to shows, the girl on the bed's going to not be on the layout.
Where's Granny sit and where's the cement pond?
Okay, so there is going to be a Granny. I've got to get a rocking chair, and Granny will go in over here in the corner. No cement pond. But there'll be an old wash tub and some other stuff sitting out over here and a little clothesline. Yeah. Again, more leaf litter and, pine needles under the forest in here. Same thing up in through here. I added some leaf litter back there and pine needles, a little bit of pine needles around Shannon before the bear gets him. Yeah. And just more little details. I'm not going to go crazy with the pine needles. I just want to have enough that kind of gives an illusion that they're there, but without going too crazy on, because I do want, greens and other colors to show through. And I put Grandpa with the kid. I figured having a kid next to what would be a scale, 100, 200 foot cliff probably wasn't a good idea. So Grandpa's with the little boy there looking up the trestle.
That'd be the good place for a rope swing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just again, more pine needles and more odds and ends added for the ground texture here. So the next things that I'm going to be working on, and let me scoot back around over here, is on the layout, but not on the layout. I've got 1/4-inch sheets over here that I'm going to be putting in the storage areas underneath. So I'm going to finish up the storage areas on the bottom of the layout. And this one, there, and over there. That way I can actually organize my storage areas, and I can put my freight cars and other things down there where they should be stored, so that I can free up some other space in the garage. But it's coming along. I've got like some chains I've got to put on these cars. I'll probably do that this week as well, just kind of loop over the loads. And then it won't be too much longer that I will get started on that last piece here, probably in the next week or two. But that's what I've been up to here for the past week that I've been home anyway.
Well, Roy says you should put Shannon hanging on a cliff with the bear looking down at him.
That would be actually pretty funny. And who knows what I'll do in the future.
So when you get Granny up at the cabin, is she going to be the madam?
Probably.
Yeah.
She'll be the one ruling over the boys on the still and the girls in the other end of the business.
The brains of the operation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Now you're making racing fuel out of that still, right?
Yeah. And I'm going to get, like my boy has got some modeling clay, and I'm going to kind of play with it a little bit. I want to make like little moonshine jugs. And, you can buy them sometimes on eBay and other places, but they're incredibly expensive for something that's like 3/8 of an inch tall. So I'm going to make a few of them, and I'm going to have a little display. And I think I talked about that one already, that, near the still, I'm going to have like some little signs by the tracks, hey, purchase, here, pay money, put in this jar, whatever kind of a thing. And just, again, have a little fun little scene where, they're advertising to the railroad and the loggers, both for the moonshine and then up the road where the tracks cross the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good scene.
Yeah, it looks great.
Thanks. I had fun with that. When I seen those figures, it's like, I got to buy them.
Yeah.
And then I got another one where I don't think I showed that one, where when I do the other scene that's over by the curved O-scale trestle, I am going to have like, a small little sliver of water for like where the river scene is, but some little sandbars. And then I've got another figure that I bought that's also woman, not wearing anything, just kind of, in a kneeling position. I'm going to have her on a beach, and then I'm going to have some kids or guys and some trees kind of peering down at that along the riverbank.
Uh-oh. Because that never happened.
No, it never happened.
Never.
That never happened. Well, Dennis, you going to show what you've been doing?
Well, I guess I can.
We kind of showed it on Beans last week.
Want me to use that camera? Yeah, I guess.
Can. Here, and I'll make that one big so he can. Let's see here. Make sure I get the right camera this time. He showed some of this. If any of you guys were on the channel when we did the beans on Monday, Dennis was talking about some of this stuff he's probably going to show you today. And that's what I'm here to help him with, is some of his grade issues, because he's doing this spline roadbed and he's got really long pieces. So he's got his nice big sweeping curves. I mean, this layout is going to be really nice. But trying to do it by yourself, I can't even imagine trying to do it by myself. Where you at? You got it? Yeah, you do. You got it. Just hit the X in the upper.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I'll get you.
There we go. All right. So I don't know. I think all of this probably was already here last week. I'm not sure. I can't really remember. Can they even hear me? Probably.
I don't know. Hang on just a second. You may need to.
Can turn mine on.
There we go. Hang on.
So, I've got the whole thing here kind of figured out now where all this is going to lay in at. And like Claude was mentioning earlier, my plan is for way over here where these loops go around the backside of where the workbench is this will all be mountain, mountain ridge here, and then in between here and this track, that ridge line will come all the way down to here in this area, and then probably go back up in between this track and where it is over there. And of course, the idea is that when you walk in the door here, this is the entrance to the layout room, you want to actually be able to see the workbench at all. Where Claude is at, this will also be mountain ridge going that way.
Dimension wise too, that's about 15, 20 feet from where the camera is there.
Probably.
The door, and then across the other way to on this side over here is probably that far also.
Yeah, it's about 20. I want to say it's 26 feet from the wall he's at to the wall that I'm at. You're talking about 26 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the layout's a good part of that.
Yeah.
So it's
Bernard says that a lot of people don't know, but this is your first layout, Dennis.
I think Steve said something, but I couldn't hear what he said.
Oh, hang on a second.
I've got the volume turned.
Oh, I said that Bernard mentioned that this is your first layout, Dennis, that a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. I would say I've had 2 plywood Pacifics in scale that I did prior to this point. 0 scenery on either one of them. I might have put some ground foam on in a place or 2. But as far as actually building any kind of significant model railroad, this is my first
one. That's what he's asking, if it was your first one.
Well, we talked about this. I think maybe there was some questions asked either on, maybe it was during Beans or maybe it was on the comment section of a previous video where they asked how many railroads I had built before this, and this is really it.
The
So-
trick is,
Have you figured out how many
trick
feet
is-
of main line that you have?
very meticulous, which is not a bad thing. It's not really a bad thing. His layout, even up to this point, is so much neater than what I did. My theory has always been, if it works, nail it and go on, because it was always just for me.
Hey,
So
Dennis,
this is the problem that Claude and I are going to tackle today. I'm not real happy with the way this is turning out at the moment. I'm close, but there's still no cigar. And the problem is back here. It's kind of hard to see, but right here, there's yet a third track that's going to come this way. And eventually, at some point, it needs to go underneath this spline, and it will also be splined. So, that's kind of the plan for today, is to figure out the substructure that's going to support all of that, where it won't interfere with itself. And because this line needs to be underneath this line, because this line here is the line that's going to go higher as it comes and climbs around and wraps around the rest of the room. That track eventually will be, somewhere between 55 and 60 inches on the wall back behind me. And then that line will remain pretty much at the level of the blue skyline there, all the way around the room to where my other termination point on that wall is, which, that's years away. My plan right now is, once I get the bench work on the back side of where the workbench is, and maybe to that wall, I'm going to be done for a while. I'm not going to do any more bench work. I will then concentrate on track work and building structures. As a matter of fact, I think I will kind of dedicate a lot of next year to building structures. So I'll have those. I may even do that before I do track work. I haven't decided yet. But that's where I'm at right now, and it's coming along nicely.
hey, Dennis, have you figured out how many feet run you have for your main line?
I have, but I don't have the number on the top of my head at the moment. I think I want to figure it out that to get to where I'm at here at this location, I want to say I needed 35 pieces of track. I can't remember exactly. So I think somewhere around 35 pieces of track should get me just the main line. I'm not talking about sidings and other things, but just the main line, I think, to this location, I think was 35 pieces of track. But don't hold me to that, because it's been a while since I looked at the number.
Almar wants to know if you can actually run trains now.
No. The only thing I can do is do some switching over here. And then, of course, I actually have an operation session set up for Claude over there, just as soon as he decides he wants to drop 3 off and pick 3 up on the time saver. All he has to do is turn it on and go to town. So that's all the train running I can do at the moment.
He's brave.
He let me run his railroad. I may force him to do it just because I know he'll enjoy it.
Yeah, we'll get over there before I leave.
Yeah, that is
This is a great room, and he's got a great vision for this layout. It's just a shame it's so far away. He's not, he's not impossible for me to get to, obviously, but it is a drive out here. I left Tulsa about 7. I got to Woodward, which is about 30 minutes east of here, at 10 last night. And so, I can take that one off now, can I?
I think I'll just go ahead and leave that on front cam.
I
But
can't
yeah,
wait to see.
He's out here ways, and there's nothing really out here. Trust me.
I can't wait to see the scenery start to go in on that layout. That's going to be incredible.
I think. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
the one thing he does have out here that would be a real good reference is lots of stuff, a lot of structures that you could photograph that would be very interesting structures. He's got an old grain elevator right back behind here. It's an old wooden one. And that was really cool.
I have considered going out there with the tape measure and making sure that structure shows up on my railroad somewhere. I just haven't decided where.
Make sure that one doesn't fall on you while you're doing it.
Right. I've climbed up in it as a kid.
Oh, as a kid. Yeah. Well, it's a little older now.
Yeah.
It's a little bit older now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a really cool looking.
Yeah, that's a genuine MK and T sideline structure up there.
It's impressive. It'd be a good Campbell kit. And then he's got the grain elevators out here on the highway. And there was another structure I saw. What was that?
Well, you know, there's the co-op at the grain elevators that would be a really good subject.
That's.
I think it's a little newer than what I would want on my railroad, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but so many guys nowadays do more modern stuff anyway, because those grain elevators would work on a modern layout real easy.
Yeah.
And this one would work on a modern layout as a non-used structure anymore.
Yeah.
It's still standing.
Yeah.
Because God knows there's lots of those out all over the place.
Yep.
But yeah, he's out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
He's not even in Fort Supply. I thought he was in Fort Supply. He's not even in Fort Supply. He's 10 miles east of there or west of there.
Yeah, west.
Yeah.
So Dennis, where do you go to get like your modeling supplies? Do you have a shop nearby, or do you do mostly online?
99.99% of everything I get is from eBay. I would love to be able to go to a small mom and pop hobby store, and if I can get it from Harris Hobbies, which is down in Texas, it's just probably the closest one-stop hobby shop that I can order directly from. I do make use of them quite a bit.
There is a train shop in Oklahoma City,
Yeah,
which is still a pretty good ways from here.
But I'm in Oklahoma City so rarely.
Yeah.
Now when I was still in the military, I was there monthly, but my schedule never allowed me to go to Whistle Stop. That's the name of the place, Whistle Stop.
Yeah.
But I do, anytime I'm in Oklahoma City and I go and I will buy something just because.
Yeah.
Some of my detail stuff that I've got some, just stuff that you can see, oh, that'll work. You pull it off the shelf and you grab it. But they don't have any HO narrow gauge stuff at all in there really to speak of.
Looks like going through the shop that Bill goes to. It's just like going through somebody's attic.
Yeah.
That's cool. I love it.
It's fun.
Yeah. Even when it wasn't train stuff, if it was back when we lived in our old house, it was a farmhouse motif in the houses. We were always looking for antique stuff.
Yeah.
And we'd go to Arkansas and stuff and hit the antique shops. And that was a blast for me digging around in some of those places.
Hey, Bernard's got a good idea. He says you guys could leave the camera running after the show and they could watch Claude scratching his head.
Well, mosquitoes keeping up in here. I will be.
Funny.
But yeah, it's I would love to have a brick and mortar shop in Tulsa. The closest thing we have is Hobbytown, and it's they've got
Probably
stuff for putting around
More of
your
an
truck.
RC.
Yeah, they're more
Something
RC
else,
and well, even disc golf and all that kind of stuff than they are trains.
Same thing here in Richmond. We've got a hobby town that opened up probably about 6 miles from here. And if I'm in a pinch, I can usually, I can go there and I might be able to get a little bit of scenery material. And their selection's getting better since they've opened. But the nearest true hobby shop from here is like 60 miles from me. There's nothing in the Richmond metro area, which is just incredible because I know there's a number of modelers around here that would keep a shop busy if there was one, but there just isn't.
Yeah. Well, the internet's kind of killed a lot of them because if they had a brick and mortar and didn't go on the internet, they ended up dying. They weren't going to get enough people coming through. It's going to get, they're going to buy it from right here in front of them, But I always liked the place, even when I was doing airplanes, when I needed hardware, I always wanted to see the hardware I was going to be putting on instead of just taking the measurements. They can give you the measurements, but it's like coming to Dennis's layout or going to see Steve's train. It's not the same as being right there and seeing it.
Yeah.
And when you're modeling and you've got an idea in your head, and it's not something that you're going to take off the shelf in a box and open up and put on your layout, then you need to see it, or at least I do. I've got to see it and see if it's what I want and what I need to work with.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That's the only way to know for sure that you're getting something, because I think we probably all have ordered different things for different aspects of the hobby, and we get it, and it's like, oh, this ain't going to work. And then it gets tossed into the to-do later box, and then you go through the process again. Or if you got a hobby shop or something nearby, maybe it's another drive, but it's a fun drive. You go down, you get what you want the first time usually.
Yeah. Well, it's like Christmas morning, you're anticipating getting there and finding something that you want. And I go to Hobby Town, as much as I can and buy scenery materials from them, but they're limited on what they've got.
Yeah.
The Woodland Scenics, they carry that, but not everything. And I can order from them, but I can order from anybody online. So why would I order from them and then have to drive down and get it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not their bread and butter, so I don't worry too much about keeping them in business.
Yeah. They've got the RC vehicles, boats, airplanes, and other stuff, like you said. They do usually have a good supply of paints and different things like that. But
Paints and glues, I'll go buy my CA glue from them because I buy the big bottle of CA and then put it into the smaller bottles. Because
I've got a gallon jug in the house that I haven't even opened up yet. When
I was doing airplanes, I was going through CA like it was nobody's business because that was the main glue we used. But I'll still try and go and get that kind of stuff there. But it's just not the same as put your hands on it. Order, it's not the same.
Yeah. Have a hobby shop that, like you said, an older mom and pop, they've usually got older things, and it's the fun of the hunt. You're going in as a treasure seeker and you're able to go through boxes that are tucked away, and you get good deals and bargains. It's the fun.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt, but when I was talking about my mountain, this is what I'm seeing in my mind.
Oh, nice.
This particular, as that backtrack leaves, there should be a river beside it. And this is exactly the kind of topography that I'm going to try and recreate there. And this is the Colorado Midland. This is a postcard. I don't know what year this was produced, but it would have been in the early 1900s. And then I also have an area that.
No, hold it over here.
This is the area known as Hell Gate, and that's also a spot that I plan on recreating somewhere on the layout.
That one would be a good one for the foam techniques.
Yeah.
Where you stack sheets of different thickness and then do the carving. That would work really well for that one.
Yeah, and I think that's why I think it will probably end up being a combination of different techniques. Even on the one where you kind of have the mesa type rocks, that would work well for the styrofoam, and then the sub base would work good for the cardboard and paper towel method.
Yep.
But I've used foam too on my removable piece that's right there where the cattle pen's going to be. I had to make that removable to get to the turnouts that went back in the staging yard. That is all foam covered in plaster. So it worked well for that because I needed it to be a solid piece that I could lift off, but I needed it to be halfway lightweight.
Right.
But it's still covered completely with plaster. And then the mountains behind are the cardboard weave.
Mm-hmm.
And then, the vertical mountains I've got that I kind of took inspiration from what you did over where your trestle is. I actually took the strips of cardboard I was using and doubled them up in some places there's 3 layers, and glued them to the backdrop.
Yeah.
And then put plaster over, just put, plaster and, the other stuff over top of it, but it's all plaster, it's cardboard and plaster or foam and plaster. I like the plaster as a final covering before I put ground cover on.
Yeah, the plaster gives the ground cover a place to adhere to well. It takes the color of paint, pigment, stain, whatever you put on it well. And you can again, you can do that final carve, depends upon what you want to look, or you could polish it to make it look like it like granite, like it's been exposed for a while and it's smooth. You can do all kinds of cool things with it.
Yeah, because I've got some places like that on my mountain that I didn't plan on doing that way, but that's how it turned out. Just because I was working and I was trying to get so much on there that I didn't get the finish of it like I wanted before it dried. But once I painted it, with a gray wash and some blacks and reds and stuff, it looks like granite.
Yeah.
So it worked out really well. The other thing is, like you were talking about with the leaves, sometimes less is more. And, you get the look, but don't go overboard, because sometimes you'll get it on there and you'll get so much on there, it just doesn't look realistic anymore.
Yeah, it takes away from the effect.
That's definitely your layout, Bill.
I had a lot of people comment, in the way that I was doing it. It's like, you got to add leaf litter, you got to add pine needles. And, I made some comments like, yeah, it's coming. I just wasn't ready to the point for it because, like you said, Claude, it's an illusion that we're after.
Mm-hmm.
So like what I talked about earlier on some of these is that, I wanted to make it dark in the back so that it looks like it's going into a forest. You don't see the ground. You see shapes and you see shades. It's only near the front where it breaks out of the trees that you actually see the ground. You can add some detail, a few inches back, but you only want to do it up where you're actually going to see it. The rest of it, again, if you're making a forest, dark so that it looks like a forest. You don't want to go overboard. And you see that on some people, where some folks will add just tons of stuff. And it's like, okay, a forest fire is going to happen there and it's going to go up in a heartbeat, because they have to clear it out. And in the East, there's all kinds of growth even in the forest. It is not just barren on the ground. And, I was trying to take some pictures as I was driving through West Virginia, heading back to Iowa and back and forth. But I couldn't because I was, driving. But, you can't see into it because there's all kinds of stuff that really is growing, even in a thick forest. You don't see a lot of ground because there's weeds, there's small trees, there's brush, there's everything. It's just lush green in a nice year where there's plenty of moisture. And, this year it's been wet, so everything is growing wild. But yeah, you got to do it in moderation. You got to go out and look. And if you're modeling a specific area, and if it looks like that, it looks like that. But, a little bit goes a long way when we're modeling.
Yeah, except for the trees.
Yeah, except for the trees. Trees you need a lot, unless you're out in some barren areas where it might only be a onesie, twosie here and there.
Yeah, but in most cases, it's 3 times what we think it needs to have on it.
Right.
Oh, yeah, easily.
And the trees tend to be taller than we think they are, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's, again, we've talked, that's why I did the scratch built for the O scale, because, you take a store-bought tree, most of them, about the highest you can commonly get is like 6-8 inches, and you put it next to an O scale engine, and it's like, okay, well, that tree is maybe 10 years old, not 100 years old, because it would be like 4 times taller. So you got to make your own if you're, trying to get it to the height that you really, really need it. And even these trees that I've got here are probably short compared to what the reality would be.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, especially up there where Steve's at.
Yeah.
Oregon, they get really tall in Oregon.
Yeah, you got to throw in a few legacy big pines that are, unusually large, because you'll find those occasionally.
Oh,
yeah, you see those, and some of those I kind of might do when I've got the that new technique that I've got, and I'll spin this around, and I think if I line this camera up right, but that's one of those newer style trees that I've got, and it is actually taller than most of the others because the ones in the background, they're already going up a slope. So I will build more of those because I like how those turned out. And I put the other one is just like right about, right there on the layout.
See where the trees are.
Yeah, it's over in the trees. It's in the foreground because it's, got a lot more detail. So, but the rest of them, it all blends in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember when Brenda and I were driving from Crater Lake down to Grants Pass, beautiful drive, just absolutely gorgeous drive. And the trees are right up to the road. And I mean, right up to the road. And some of them were wider than our car.
Yeah.
At the base. And of course, you couldn't see from the car, you couldn't look up and see how tall they were, but I know they had to be 100 feet high or better.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah. They were huge, not all of them, but some of them that had been there for a long time were just giant.
Yeah. You get the old growth and they're just massive trees. And then you get, the newer stuff where it would be more like HO scale or O scale, itty bitties, but
Al's got to has put it in order, Bill.
Yeah, I don't think a week would work.
So Steve's getting ready to take his steam locomotive up to Medford today to test the brakes.
Yeah, I'm gonna go play.
And another feature. Show us the other feature, Steve.
What other feature?
Your traction feature.
Oh, well, I can't show you because it's loaded in the truck. But I've got a kind of a. It's hard to explain, but it's a screw mechanism that'll push the drawbar down on the tender, down on the back of the locomotive. That will help transfer the weight from the tender to the back of the engine to help, give it a little bit more traction. I had some slipping issues in Medford when I took it last time. And I think some of that had to do with a lot of oil on the wheels. Because when I got it back to the house, when I was cleaning it up, I was cleaning the wheels and man, they were black, just absolutely black. And I think a lot of that contributed to my slipping issues. So
why do you think you had so much oil on the wheels? Is that
just from the building and a lot of lubrication, because this thing had, never been run. So I just oiled the crap out of it. And, that works its way onto the wheels. And I never cleaned anything when I took it out running.
Well, when we were there, when I was there, and he had it up at Train Mountain and had it in the steaming bay and was trying to back up, that rail, which right there is just angle iron, but that rail was just coated with oil.
Yeah.
And it was really oily right there, but that's where everybody steams up to get
ready
to run. So there's a lot of oil gets put down, and you probably never wiped it off from there.
Yeah, and I never cleaned the wheels on it the whole time I've been working on it. So I think that really was an issue. So they're nice and squeaky clean, so that's going to help. Plus, I'm hoping that drawbar adapter is going to work. I think it will, because it doesn't take a lot of extra pressure on it. Because when I was slipping going up the grades in Medford last time, if I pushed down on the cab of the engine just a little bit, it didn't take a lot. It really helped with the slipping issues. When Tim was running, and Tim dresses out at 500 pounds. No, I'm just teasing.
He's a big boy.
He's a big boy. And he was, I'm looking, it's like he's running around. It's like, how are you doing that? And then I noticed he had his legs around the cab and had his feet sitting on the running board. So he had a lot of weight on the engine, and he was just flying around on the thing. So, I don't want to do that. I tried it, and it's really uncomfortable. Plus, it puts you really forward over the cab, and you got the exhaust coming, that propane and stuff coming right in your face, and that was not fun.
I don't think Tim had a choice.
No, I don't think so.
As big as
It was funny watching him run that thing. I mean, it looked like a fat girl sitting on a bar stool.
well, I never sat on the tender seat.
It's
Steve
like,
was going to get me on it. Of course, he didn't have it running then, but I never did sit down on it. But that would not have been comfortable for me because I'm much taller than Steve is. So.
no, it's not. I don't think I'd want to be sitting on that thing for a long time. It's not real comfortable. You know, short bursts is fine. You know, if I ever get it, you know, up the Train Mountain, up on the hills and stuff, I'm going to be taking a lot of breaks.
Yeah.
You're leaning over, but no, I had some issues up there the last time that I had to address, and one of them was the reading the water level in the sight glass because you're looking down at it, so it was really hard to see the water level. And there's another guy that suggested, and it worked really good. Just take a piece of I used some brass, some really thin brass that I had, but he said just get a thin piece of metal, spray it white, and then take a marker and put diagonal lines on it, you know, down at a 45-degree angle. And when the water, it you know, you get a prism effect, you know, it refracts the lines, so you can really see the definition of where the height of the water level is. So that I made that adaptation. I'm going to test, and I think that's going to help a lot. Plus, when I was up there, it was a design flaw on the reverser when I did it, and when I was up there running, I was able to use it just short enough before it failed that the Johnson bar actually does act as a brake on the thing, which is really cool because you put it in reverse and it's like a Jake brake on a truck. And it did work, but then I had a screw come out, so it got stuck in forward. So it was, you know, without a screwdriver, I couldn't take it out of, you know, in full forward on the Johnson bar. So it was stuck there the whole time unless I was stopped. So that was kind of a pain. So I corrected that problem. I also raised the handle on the reverser higher, so it's easier to, you know, to manipulate. So I've got that one I got to test. So I've got, you know, a few tests I'm going to do today: the water level, the drawbar connection, the brakes, and the reverser. So, you know, I think those issues corrected, I think it'll be a little bit more fun to run today. Plus, it's all shiny. I got it all detailed out. I took the I took the boxcar and the caboose and got all the wood all cleaned up, so it looks brand new. You know, it looks like a showpiece. I don't know how long it's going to stay that way. You know.
Are you going to film some of it for us so we can see?
Oh yeah.
Definitely want to see it.
Yeah, I'll be doing so. Probably most of it's going to be from sitting on it, but I'll run some videos and I'll put them on YouTube. But they're doing on Saturdays over there. They do birthday parties, which is really cool because you can rent the whole park and a train for 2 hours. Doesn't matter how many kids or people you come. You get a train in the park for 2 hours for $75.
Wow.
And so they do that on Saturdays. So I'll go down there, and there'll probably be a lot of kids and stuff, which will be fun. Because then you can sit up. You know, they love steam engines. There's something about, you know, the steam and the little kids, and that's really fun.
There's so much more to see here and experience than a diesel.
Lots of questions, and you sit them on it, and they're just like, "Ah, this is cool." You just make sure you tell them don't touch anything because it is hot. But I'm looking forward to that. You know, so you know, obviously there's a lot of room in here now because it's all in the back of my truck. But yeah, as soon as the show's over, I'm gonna load up and head over there. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll make some videos.
So Closet Branch wants to know what happened when your steam engine derailed. Need to call a tow truck and engineer gets out of service.
No, it's actually easy to re-rail. I mean, it's heavy. It probably runs. I haven't weighed it, but I'm guessing somewhere between 200 to 300 pounds. With the water, and you can lift it up. I mean, if I had, and I did, I derailed the pilot truck on it the first time, and you could lift it up and put it back on the rail pretty easy. What?
Gail said this was for you, Steve.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, Gail. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
wow.
Brenda was always bringing me lunch and stuff.
Oh,
be chatting on, just one-on-one. And he's always talking about, man, I can't believe she's always bringing you food.
I know.
So I was telling Gail about that. And so this is Gail.
I never get that. I have to make my own stuff.
Get it to Oklahoma, Steve.
Yeah.
This smells really good.
It does.
It's a good thing for the show.
We need smell-o-vision.
Smell-o-vision, yeah.
Funny.
Well, let's see. What do we got? About 4 minutes left.
Mm-hmm. Yum, yum.
I want some too. Well, yeah, this does look really good. She asked me how long I was staying, and I told her until the food runs out. So, which isn't true, but
The food and the beer, or the beer.
just the food.
My grandmother always said, if you don't have enough for everybody, you're not supposed to eat in front of them.
That was every teacher I ever had too.
Well, I mean, everyone in the room's got a plate of food.
Got food.
This was not planned.
No, it was not planned.
No,
I heard her come in. I didn't know she had food with her.
neither.
I like Bernard's comment. Can she text food or text us a plate?
I don't know if she's watching right now, but thank you very much, Gail. I wasn't planning on this because I stopped and got a little breakfast sandwich before I came up here, and I don't normally eat breakfast, so now I'm going to have two.
And it's energy for you as you guys get working on Dennis's layout later.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We got some work to do, I think. This thing is awesome, though. I'm looking at this spline that he's got run around here for his line, and I'm jealous. Very, very jealous.
Have you figured out how many sheets of hardboard you're going to have to cut to do all the spline?
I think
He thinks he's got
I started with 2 sheets. I have cut up 2 sheets. I think I've got everything I need.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think I believe I've for sure got enough to get to where I'm at now.
I would have thought it would have taken a whole lot more than 2 sheets.
Well, and maybe it was 3 sheets. I can't really remember, but I've got a bunch still.
So are you using like 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch thick? How thick is the
This is 1/4 inch.
1/4
And
inch?
I chose 1/4 inch because I would only need 5 pieces of it to equal the width of the HO narrow gauge.
Okay.
3 foot inch. If I would have gone with the 1/8 inch, I think I needed either 7 or 9. I can't remember now, but I looked at both, and I could have bent it a lot easier with the thinner stuff, but I didn't think it was necessary because this stuff bends at the radiuses I need, which is nothing less than 18 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's got huge sweeping curves here, so he's not going to have a problem bending it.
Yeah, I think 18 inches, near as I can tell, is the narrowest I've got anywhere, and that's only for like less than 1 foot, maybe 2 at the most.
Right.
At its narrowest.
Yeah. When you get that in, and you've got your track in, you start to do scenery. How are you thinking of attaching to that spline for your scenery? Are you going to be, you know, because trying to staple into the masonite just doesn't work. Are you going to
Glue and cardboard,
or
hot glue and cardboard is what I'm figuring right now. And then if I get a cardboard lattice, as I've mentioned before, if it's low enough, I plan on piling, like in the areas, you know, where it's grass, you know, where it's just kind of smooth topography, go in there with the paper towels and plaster over top of Walmart bags, because the cardboard lattice will hold the Walmart bags, and then you put the
Because we know you got plenty of those.
yeah. Mentioning Walmart bags, that's
She
gonna go over
just
again.
brought us breakfast. You cannot. She's going to be here in a minute taking our.
You're the one that
away.
said the Walmart bags.
I mean, regardless of that, I think, because then once that dries, you can remove the Walmart bags.
Oh yeah.
And you can
Put your
reuse
hard
it.
shell on, you're fine.
Yeah. That's the plan right now. And you know, if I need to add something more substantial in the cardboard, then I will. However it works out, it's going to work
I
out.
think cardboard would be plenty.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how big you make the lattice. You can make it pretty tight.
Oh, I'm in trouble. Look, Claude, look what you did. She says, "Hey."
He brought it up. I just laughed.
I mean, I just brought up Walmart bags.
Exactly.
I should be able to say
You can't-
Walmart
no,
bag
you can't.
without having any negative
No,
connotation.
not on this
about-
show anymore.
It's like you said, Dennis, you can remove them so you can put them back when you're done. They just might not be as
Lose any of
pristine
the
as.
Walmart bags. You can keep them all.
There's a gun going to come through that door.
Well, I do have a shotgun by the door that's cruiser safe right now.
Everybody's watching on the second camera for when that.
Yeah. Oh,
Now, Steve says that apparently she says I can't use them now. I don't know.
well, Anderson's always trying to stir stuff up.
Yeah.
I think you're the one that stirred it up.
I told her I forgot to bring her the Walmart bags I was going to bring her.
That was the first thing you said to her when you met her this morning, wasn't it? I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in so much trouble.
Well, we're over
Yeah,
our
we're over
hour, so
time.
we need to get working on this layout
Yeah.
after we finish eating.
And I don't know if I probably won't even film anything we do today, but I will probably start filming because it's Saturday. I will work some more tomorrow. I'll probably, of course, I'm 2 videos ahead of today, if that makes sense. I've got 2 videos in the can right now that you haven't seen on YouTube. So
Get the cat in here.
the cat's in here.
I said, get the cat in here.
Oh, so you'll get to see what we do. It'll be a couple 3 weeks from now on a future video, but you'll get to see what we do today eventually.
Cool.
All right. Well, I guess this is goodbye for everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.
Everybody.
Buddy.
All right.
Bye.
These are good.